Hey guys, my name's Nate, also known as Fearsome Trash, and today I'm going to be giving you a overall beginner's guide to learning Escape from Tarkov. Alright guys, so before we get into the actual gameplay and technicalities of Tarkov, let's just talk about what is sort of the main objective to Tarkov. And I kind of separate it into two different lanes. You're either playing the game for the quests and, kind of playing for objectives to get, higher end loot, or you're playing the PvP side and the fighting side where you're going in and you're looking for engagements and looking for fights to try to get better gear. They do share one similar goal, which is that you are overall trying to get better loot than what you came in. Okay, so now that we've answered the question of what the objective is in Tarkov, the next thing you're probably asking is, who am I playing as? And you're either playing as two classes in Tarkov. One is the Scav, and one is the PMC. So a Scav is somebody that you spawn in, it's random, you're usually playing with minimal gear, and it's a lot low risk. So whatever you keep in that raid is yours. It's nothing that you've owned, it's just stuff that the game has given you. So if you're uneasy about the game and you're still figuring some things out, I would run a Scav. If you're ready to complete a quest, you're ready to get into some PvP fights, I would pick your PMC. So your PMC is any equipment that you decide to put on your character from your stash that you put on the line. So if you end up living, you survive throughout the raid, you come back with some more juicy loot, you get to keep it all. If you end up dying in raid, whatever equipment you brought in, you end up losing. Alright, so before we can start to mess with our inventory and our character, it's probably going to ask you what you want your faction to be for your PMC. It's either going to ask that you want to be Bear, or it's going to ask that you want to be USEC. And to be honest, there's not really much of a difference between the two right now. One is going to be Russian, which is the Bear, and another is going to be American, which is USEC. So pick whichever one that looks the coolest to you. There are some minor differences right now, and I'm sure that there will be more differences down the line. But for right now, just pick which one ever looks the coolest to you. So after you pick your faction, you're probably wondering, what's the first thing I should be doing in Escape from Tarkov? And here's the thing that I tell everybody. You can either hit the trading menu here, or you can hit traders at the very bottom. But after we hit traders, what we're going to do is we're going to open up Prapor, our first one. And on this left side here, you're going to see a bunch of these items that are all blacked out. So on my screen, they're all like normal unlocked. They've got the textures. On your end, they're not going to look like that. They're going to look like black tiny squares. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your middle mouse, which is your scroll wheel. You're going to click that guy in. If you don't have a middle mouse, no big deal. You can just right click and it should say discover. And what you're going to do is you're just going to sort of unlock all the items so you don't have to do it in raid. This is like your character familiarizing yourself with the actual item, so that way when you open it up in stash in game, you don't have to discover it again. So once you do it once, you never have to do it again. Once you discover all of these items, make sure that you go to the next trader and you do it again. So you go throughout every single trader that you can and kind of familiarize yourself with these traders as well. Each trader is going to sell very different things. So if you look at your therapist is always going to sell all the medical items that you need. So if you need bandages, if you need painkillers, that's where all your medical supplies are going to be. If you need shotgun shells, you're going to see it all through Jaeger here. Jaeger is going to be your shotgun guy. If you need gun parts, you can go to mechanic. Once you get more and more familiar with the game, you'll know who to go to sell what things. But for right now, just unlock as much as that you possibly can. You don't have to do everything to the T. Just unlock as much as you can so you don't have to do it in raid. Hey guys, so I'm going through and editing the video right now. I forgot to mention that when you go through to discover all your items, make sure to accept the quests that are given to you from each trader as well. So if you click on a trader at the very top, it should say tasks. You click on your task, you click on the name of the mission. At the very top, it should say accept. So we've discovered all of our items, we've accepted all of our quests from our traders, and now you're probably asking yourself, how do I get into a game? How do I play? And you have to ask yourself this question right now, which is, how confident are you with the game right now? If you're pretty confident and you want to get into a game ASAP, you're probably going to select your PMC. If you're still understanding the game and you still want to get your bearings on everything, I would recommend playing Scav. That way, it doesn't matter if you end up losing, it doesn't matter if you end up winning. If you win, it's a bonus, you get to keep the items. If you lose, you never had the items in the first place, so it didn't matter. So to get to how to play the game, you're going to hit your main menu. You're going to hit Escape from Tarkov, and depending on which character that you're going to play, you're going to select that character. So in this case, let's just go Scav. So we hit Scav. Now we're at the point where you select where you go on the map. So there's two maps that I really recommend at the beginning when you're starting out, which is Factory and Customs. So if you're really looking to PvP and really understand that side, you want a small map, I would go Factory. Right, there's only like 4 to 6 people. You know, the raid times are super small. Customs is going to be a little bit more open. Games are going to be a little bit longer, and there's going to be a lot more people. So pick whichever one that you're sort of more familiar or whatever you're trying to play. So I would recommend going Factory. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit easier to kind of grasp and maintain your surroundings. Once you select your map, you're going to select your time at the bottom here. So there's 2 times. You're going to have one that's daytime and one that's nighttime. So you either have 1528, and keep in mind this is military time. So you have 1528 and then you have 328. So if you go in at 328, it's going to be pitch black. You're going to need a flashlight in order to see anything. Your 1528 is going to be your daytime. So select your 1528, hit next. Hit ready, and then you should be loading into a game. Now, if you selected PMC, it's going to be a lot more complex before we can get into a game. So once we select our PMC, which here's how we do it. We go to main menu, we're going to go to character, and then all of this is going to be your PMC loot. So on the right side is the stash. That's like kind of like your treasure chest of items. So all of this stuff, you can't lose until you put it on your person. And everything on the left here is going to be what's on your person. So if you see any items that are in the stash that are undiscovered, you know, make sure to hit the middle mouse on them and discover them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work down a checklist to make sure we have all the items we need before we go into raid. And I gave you guys a little list here to make sure that you have everything that you need just before you get into a game. So ideally, you want to have some armor or an armored rig. And if you have armor, you're probably going to want to rig with it. So your armor is going to be this body armor plate, or if it's a rig, it's going to be up here. And you're going to need ammo or magazines along with your weapon and any grenades. So you have to be really careful about putting particular ammo in your magazine. So if we look at this gun, it says it's a 5.45x3.9. So that's how we can tell what sort of ammo that we have with our gun, what ammo this gun takes. We know that this mag takes it because it has the same 5.45x3.9. And keep in mind, there are some certain weapons that might not take certain mags, so you have to be very aware of that. Now, if we look at this mag, we can unload it, and we've got 5.45x3.9. Now, there are certain magazines, and there are certain ammo that can fit inside that won't take the same. This is a 5.56 magazine, right? So 5.56 30-round magazine. This can either take 5.56 ammo, which is a majority of what you'll do. And it also takes 300 blackout. Now, if I put 300 blackout into my magazine and put it in my gun, it will fit onto the gun. If you go into raid and try to shoot this, it will not fire. So you need to be very careful about the ammo that you're going to put in. So make sure that all of these numbers match. 5.45, 3.9, 54539, and if you take out the bullet, 54539. So make sure that everything is good across the board. Another important thing to note too is also where you are putting your mags. If you are putting your magazines in your backpack, you are not going to be able to reload them. So if you put it in like this, you're not going to be able to reload your ammo. So make sure you put all of your magazines either in a rig or it's in an armored rig. So if you're looking for where to find a rig, if you go to traders and you go to Ragman, you should have access to something called a bank robber. And a bank robber is like, you know, level 1 rig that you can put on your character and put all your mags into. So you've got armor on, you've got weapons in your hand, you've got mags in your rig. Maybe you want to put some grenades in there, you put some grenades in there. Another helpful thing that you're going to want is you're going to want a headset. So this is kind of a bizarre concept to explain, but in Tarkov, headsets actually matter. They're not just visual, you know, for your character. They actually make a difference in how you hear certain things. All right, guys, so what we are demonstrating now is what the impact of headphones actually make. So we're just in our range right now. We've got our headphones on right now, and we're just going to take a couple shots just to kind of see what we can hear. Okay, so now we are going to take our headphones off. So now our headphones are off, our spot is empty. Now you can kind of notice that everything sort of dipped down a little bit. It's sort of harder to hear, but our guns sound a lot louder. So when you get into particular fights and whatnot, having your headphones on is great because it reduces the sound of how blaring loud gunshots can be, but you can hear footsteps more. So if somebody's creeping behind you, you have a better chance at hearing them if you have a better headset on your character. Now we need to get to the more complicated part, which is your meds, right? So if you look at the very top here and hit health, it's not like in every other game where you just have a set total HP. You do have total HP at the very bottom here, which is the 440 out of 440. Might be different for you guys because you're a little lower level. But if you look at each limb has its own HP as well, right? And these all contribute to what your total health is. So when you take damage in Tarkov, you might get, some things that will damage your player over time or give you some kind of negative effects, right? So the rule of thumb, or the kind of list that I created for you guys, you should have something to stop heavy bleeds, something to stop light bleeds, something to fix fractures, and something to repair blacked out limbs. Now optionally you can have painkillers as well. So let's just go down the list and kind of explain what each of them are, right? So heavy bleeds are going to be if you take a round and this round makes you start bleeding, you're going to start taking damage over time. So instead of just getting hit with a bullet and then that's it, you'll get hit with a bullet and then you'll start doing like 5 points of damage for every second, for a heavy bleed. So you want to find something like, in this case, an S-March that'll stop that heavy bleed. And you'll know it'll stop heavy bleeds because you'll open it up and it'll say it underneath this little description here. So there's more things that can stop heavy bleeds too. It's not just the tourniquet, right? You open up an AFAK, it says that it'll stop a heavy bleed for the cost of 170 off that AFAK. And then once we hit 0, we can't use the item anymore, right? Okay. Your light bleeds are going to be, a lot less dramatic. So you're probably taking like 1 point of damage, per second. But you still want to bandage those up. And you want to find either a safe spot after you're done fighting, or if you ran away from a fight and you're in a safe spot, that's when you should be doing a lot of your healing. You shouldn't really be doing a lot of your healing mid-fight unless it's vital and you're going to die. Something that's a little bit more immobilizing, that's kind of annoying to deal with in Tarkov, is fractures. Fractures can either come from bullets or they can come from you falling from a great distance and end up fracturing your legs. Fractures don't only apply to legs too, they can happen to your arms as well. So if people are using particular types of ammo, they might fracture your left arm or right arm. To that end, you basically have a inability to aim. You can still aim, it's just going to be a lot harder. Same with like your legs, right? If you fracture your legs, you can still run, it's just going to be a lot harder. You're going to take more damage and you're going to be a lot louder. So you want to have some sort of a splint on you so you can heal up those fractures, so that way you're not getting whatever disadvantage that those effects are giving you. The final one that we are going to talk about is blacked out limbs. Every single limb, right? Every single part of your body has HP. But what happens when that HP of your limb hits 0? Basically, when it hits 0, if that limb gets shot, that damage will start spreading to the rest of your body. So you want to keep all of your limbs as, you know, healthy as possible. Like if I get hit for 50 points of damage and only my left arm, it'll only affect my left arm. If I take 70 points of damage, what's going to happen is this arm's going to get black, and then that extra 10 points of damage are going to get spread to my thorax, to my stomach, to my right leg, left leg. That extra damage is going to go into the rest of your body. So you want to keep either a CMS, a serve kit, something that can do surgery on those limbs that can basically bring your HP back to 1 so you can heal this. Something you might ask yourself too is, how do you like interact with these items to use them? You can do it 2 different ways. You can either right click and hit use, or you can use heal all as well. You can also do something where these little hot bars here. So I like to put my meds in my pockets just for easy access. You want something for heavy bleed, that's our S march. You want something for light bleed, which is our bandage. You want something for fractures, which is our splint. And then our CMS kit, which we can put to 7, right? So what we're doing is we're hovering our mouse over these items, hitting 4, going to our bandage, hitting 5, going to our splint, hitting 6, and our CMS in 7. And if you look at the bottom here, this bar will populate with all those items. Instead of opening up your inventory, right-clicking the item, hitting use, you can just hit 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on what that you need healed, and it'll stop whatever. So let's say we have a heavy bleed, we're in the middle of a fight, we just need to tie it off real fast. We can hit 4, our guy will start pulling out the S march, wrapping up his arm, and you know, taking care of it much quicker than what we could if we had to open up our inventory and do it that way. The last part that's optional as well is painkillers. So there are a bunch of different painkillers that do a bunch of different things. These are just a few that I'm going to show you. So painkillers essentially negate certain effects that your character would otherwise have if he was in serious, you know, damage. So let's talk about, you know, you just got hit in the head and your screen starts going super blurry. You can't really see, you know, everything's starting to shake. You probably have something that's called a contusion, and contusion basically makes your visuals just like absolutely fucked. So what you can do is, before you go into a fight, you probably heard, you know, big streamers say this, they're going to PK before they get into a fight, or painkill before they go into a fight. It basically means that they put on their painkillers before they get into a fight, and if they do get a fracture, or if they do get a contusion, it doesn't affect them because they're already under the influence of whatever painkiller that they have. So this golden star, it says that it removes pain for 350 seconds, removes contusions if I, you know, don't have to worry about, you know, my screen getting blurry. The best thing I would do to experiment with which one that you want specifically is figure out what kind of effects that you want. Propitols actually give you a nice little boost in your health. So let's say you have damage kind of spread everywhere. You got some in your stomach, in your right arm, your left leg, you know, wherever. If you pop a propitol, it'll actually slowly heal all of those limbs if they aren't black. If they are black, you have to do repairs before they can start healing again. But this is going to give you, so it removes pain for the 240 seconds, but also if you take any damage, it'll start to heal you for 300 seconds by 1 point. So start to get familiar with the different effects of these, because the ETGC is like a Propital, it just does it like a lot quicker. So instead of increasing by 1 point, it's increasing by 6.5 points. All right, so we got all of our meds, we got our weapons, we got our armor, we're juiced up, baby. We're ready to get into a raid. Okay, so here's where we're gonna go. We're gonna hit main menu in the bottom left. We're gonna hit escape from Tarkov. You're gonna hit PMC. Next, factory. That's gonna be the map that we get to play on. All these different maps you can play if you wish to play a different map, but factory is nice and small, concise, and easy to understand. So I'd recommend that's a good one to start out on. You're gonna pick your time, which is 15:28, which is gonna be daytime. You're gonna hit next, and now you have a choice here. Okay, if you enable practice mode for this raid, right, this is checked, you're gonna be going up against NPC scavs, and you can kind of experiment without losing gear. It doesn't matter. All right, you die, whatever, you'll get all that gear back. Okay, and if you do want to experiment with that stuff, and you want to shoot some folks and, you know, not really have to worry about the risk, just hit enable PvE, and then you're going to set the AI amount, or AI difficulty, to easy, AI amount to high. Now the bosses, each map does have a scav boss, and they're generally pretty juiced. They've got better gear than you. They've got some abilities that can help them out, like Tagilla's got a huge ass hammer, so if you're up close and personal, he'll hit you with it and can one-shot you. Tagged and Curse is going to let everybody in the map know your location. Scav War is going to essentially have every scav fight everyone, so nobody's on a team. So preface it by saying that when you play as a scav, you generally don't want to shoot other scavs, because you've got a karma system, and the higher that karma system gets, the better loot that you'll have. So when you play as a scav, you're playing very passively. Don't try to kill anything, you know, unless somebody starts shooting at you. You're generally just in there to loot, get in, get out as quickly as you can. So if you don't check mark that, it's going to be other people that you're playing against. You're going to be playing against other PMCs in this raid. If you want to do that, you just hit next. Now we have something that's called insurance. Do you remember how I was telling you when you die, you lose all your stuff permanently? Not necessarily, okay? You have some chances to get some stuff back if you can afford it, right? So everything that I don't have insured is off right now, so it's not going to cost me anything. Right, so if you look in the bottom right, total sum to pay is 0, right? Let's say, like, man, I really like this AK. It took me a long time to make. You know, I'd really want to insure it and try to get it back. So what we're going to do is we're going to select it. Now it costs about 26,000 rubles to insure this. So if I go into a raid and I end up dying, right? But I die in, like, let's say some crazy area in a bush. Nobody knows where I'm at. I died from a random you know, grenade frag. They can't find my body. I'm going to get that AK back after a certain amount of time. If, let's say, I died in a super high populated area, there's plenty of people running by, and I insured this item, I'm probably not going to get it back, because the chances of you getting your items back are based on whether or not a character in game actually picks them up. So let's say, like, a PMC smoked my ass, sees my body, clear daylight, goes and loots my body, picks it up, keeps it in his bag, he gets to keep it. I don't get that gun back. But if by the off chance people don't want to pick up my gun, you can insure those items and you'll get them back. So a cheat way of doing it is you can insure all if you just want to do your whole kit, and it'll tell you how much, you know, each, you know, item costs within your inventory and what the total cost is. So if I wanted to insure my entire loadout, it'll cost me 35,000 rubles to get that insured. When you're starting out, I would honestly recommend not really insuring all that much, just because your items when you're first starting out are pretty meh. They're not really that important. Lots of people like to get the gear fear, and they're like, oh, I really want to hold on to this. And if you really feel that way, obviously you can insure. But if you're going into fights and you're fighting people actively looking for PvP, you're most likely not going to see that gear back. But you can kind of think of it in this respect too. If you keep winning, you're never going to lose it, right? So if you insure it once, it's always insured. You don't have to keep re-insuring your gun every single raid. So if you do it once, it's only going to cost you 35,000 once, and if you keep living with it, you'll be good to go from raid to raid after. So once you insure, you don't insure, you're just going to hit next. If you got some teammates that you want to invite here, you can right click their name and invite them. Or if you just want to start looking for a group randomly, other people can start inviting you if you hit start looking for group. And once you do that, you just hit ready and you'll start loading into your game. All right, guys, so I'm just kind of gonna give you a rough example of what a raid might look like. So we're in factory right now, we're in daytime. Let's say we wanted to go for a quest, right? So there's a quest specifically where you have to get a message off of a dead body, right? And then your whole goal is just get out with that message intact without dying, right? So we're in factory right now. We're gonna find our location here, and this message is gonna be inside of this coat. So something really important to note: Tarkov is super fucking cheese with the placement of objects. So when you are looking inside of a bunkhouse for a particular item, you're looking for a portfolio or some type of folder, it's probably going to be stupid small. So you really have to look around. I'm also going to link a resource below as well and just kind of give you a brief overview. That's going to help you a lot. The Escape from Tarkov wiki really kind of shows you exactly where those items are found. So that way you're not, looking through a room pixel by pixel. It'll show you it's exactly here. So just get in, grab it, and get out and complete your quest. Okay, so now that we've got our item here, right, now we need to get out. So you're probably thinking, well, how the fuck do I get out? There's no markings. There's, I can't tell where anything is, right? This is my first time being in here. So if you double tap the letter O on your keyboard, you're going to see that little green menu come up, right? It's going to say find an extraction point. It'll give you how much time you have left in your raid, and it says, all the different locations that you can extract through. So on factory in particular, we can go through cellars, gate 3, gate 0, med tents. Those are all of our exfils. So I'm going to show you two different types of extractions, depending on how geared your character is. Okay, so let's say you've killed a couple people, you've got your quest item, you just need to get out. So if you look for a door that's got this little green sign on it here, this is in gate 3. We can see the big 3 at the very top here. So we're gonna open this door. We're gonna open up this next door here. And right here is going to be our extract. And you'll see it'll start to count down. It's basically going to bring you back to the menu after you extract. Okay, so we just arrived at med tent, right? You can tell it's a giant medical tent that's hanging outside of this door. So we're going to walk through. We're going to see this door here. We're going to walk through it. And now, oh, looks like this is a little bit different, right? All the other doors that we could unlock at some point, right? They just open automatically. This, we have to have a specific key that's called factory emergency exit key, right? And so we're going to unlock this door versus just opening it. Now that we opened it, now we can go to extract, right? Now keep in mind too that each key has a certain amount of uses. So this factory emergency exit key has 14 uses left. That was out of 20, so we've used it 6 times. They're even more important to keep in something called your pouch, right? So your pouch is also a safe space that you can store items in your butt that you'll always keep on you, right? So let's say you've got really high tier meds that you don't really want to lose from raid to raid. It's not like a bandage, you've got some golden star propofol and you want to keep it, in a safe spot that you won't lose. So you've got a super limited space. I think for an alpha, I think it's, you know, 2x2, right? It's a very small square that you can store whatever you want. So if I had, you know, my factory key, I would keep like my factory key down here, and then also like a propitol, and then like a golden star or something. And that would be my little alpha container, right? So your alpha container is, you want to keep things on you that are high tier, that are kind of help you from the raid to raid that you don't really want to lose. So, you know, you're limited on the amount of things that you can store in here, right? You can't store like weapons in there. You can't store, I believe even grenades. Just within the last few updates, they changed a lot of the stuff that you can keep in your pouch. So there are ways that you can get bigger pouches. I paid for like a more premium version of the game, so I start with a gamma instead of an alpha. So looking on the screen now, right, we're looking at the Tarkov wiki, and these are all the different types of containers that you can find within Tarkov, right? So if you just own the standard base game, you're gonna have the secure container alpha. Then you're gonna go to beta, epsilon, gamma, right? Which is, you only get that from owning the Edge of Darkness. And then kappa, which is completing all of the quests in the game and getting a bunch of different collector items as well. So once you've opened up your exit, right, we are going to exit. We've got our quest item on us. We've maybe killed some scavs. We got a bunch of loot. Keep in mind, if you do die in this time when it's completing the extraction time, you are not safe. So if that countdown hasn't hit 0 yet, you still have a chance to die. So we're going to pull up something here. It's called Map Genie, right? So let's take a look at factory, for example, right? This looks super, super complex, and I know this is probably overwhelming at first. But if you go to Map Genie and you pull up factory, what we're going to do is we're going to hit hide all here, and then we're going to scroll down on this left filter section, and we are going to uncheck or check extraction there. And then this is going to tell you exactly where you can extract in every single map. So we extracted through med tent gates, which is right here, right? Here's the tent. And then we were also looking at gate 3, which is anybody can extract. So keep in mind that there's certain extractions for certain classes. So these yellow extractions here are only for scavs. So only if you're a scav can you extract through those. Those green ones are going to be for PMCs, and this gate 3, gate 0 is anybody can extract through those so long as it's located in the top right. All right, so it gives us the green thumbs up. We survived. We got 428 experience. If we have any kills, it would show up here. And then this kind of shows you how much remaining experience that you have until your next level. All right. So now that you finish your raid, it's going to bring you back to this main menu, right? And here is basically where you're going to do a lot, like 90% of your activities are going to be in this character menu, right? Because what you're going to do is, if you got good loot in the game, you're going to find space within your stash and unload it, right? So anything in this middle square is in your backpack or in your rig or in your pockets or in your pouch. You're going to take all of this stuff that, you know, was big loot to you. So let's take, like, let's say we found like a bunch of these meds, right? So now what we have to be like is like, all right, where are we going to get our most money from, right? So if we're selling meds, we probably want to sell it to Therapist because she's probably going to give us the most for meds. And every single trader is going to give you different values for whatever, you know, that you're selling them. So if you're selling them a gun part, you know, multiple traders might take gun parts, but the thing is that they're all going to sell them at different values. So the one trader to stay away from is fence. Stay away from fence unless it's something that's broken. If it's something that's broken, only fence will take it. But fence is going to give you the least amount of money for whatever item. But Therapist is a pretty safe bet to sell most of your stuff that aren't weapons. So if you come across like golden pocket watches or stuff like that, Therapist is probably going to give you the most. So now that's what you're going to do with your items. If you have quests that you have to turn in, what you're going to do is you're going to go to whoever gave you the quest, right? So let's say it's Prapper. Prapper gave us a quest. We're going to go to that task tab up at the very top. We're going to select whatever task that it was that we were doing. Like, we'll say this guy right here, Punisher Part 1, right? So once we eliminated Scavs with an AK weapon on Shoreline, I'm going to hit the accept button at the very top, and he'll give you a bunch of different gear, you know, for whatever the quest is, right? So if we were to complete this quest, it would give us a Zabralo, an SV98, it'll give us some money, gives us some experience, and then it gives us some rep as well. So each trader like has reputation, and the higher the rep that we get with each trader, the better the items that we give us. So each little number, you know, on the top left represents that they're like level with us. So, you know, Fence, I've only got a level 1 rep, but if I look at Prapper or if I look at Therapist, they're super friendly with me. So they give me better deals, they give me access to better guns, so, or better supplies, whatever it is. So you want to try to complete a lot of quests through traders, and if you look on the top right, it'll tell you your requirements for that trader to get to the next level. So level 4 is the max that you can get with any trader right now, and so this is saying that my my reputation with that trader is met. The only thing that I'm lacking is my level. So I'm a level 27 right now. I need to be level 35, and then I can get level 4 Therapist, and she might give me, you know, labs cards that I can buy that are super rare. She might give me more food. She might give me, you know, every level of a trader is different. So if you're really getting to a point where like, man, I'm getting really shitty gear, try to start upgrading those traders so you have access to the higher gear, right? Also, something to note too is that you're very, very new to the game right now. So how the hell do I know what's good ammo versus what's bad ammo, or what's good loot versus bad loot? The other helpful tool to have too is looking up, going to Google and typing in Tarkov Ballistics. The Tarkov wiki should be the first one, and we're going to be looking at this chart here, right? And I'll kind of break it down and show it to, you know, on a different screen if that's helpful. But essentially what we're looking at here is the amount of penetration for whatever weapon that you're using. So these, like if we're just looking at shotguns right now, right? Let's say like, man, I want to get a kitted shotgun. I really want to, you know, make the best of it, make it a kick-ass shotgun that one-taps people. Okay, well, let's look at this chart here. So we find our ammunition at the top. So let's look for shotgun rounds. So this is highlighted shotgun rounds here. It's going to bring us exactly to the section that we need to be at, which is the 12 gauge section. So we have all these different ammo types, right? We've got like slugs, we've got buckshot, we've got, you know, flechette, we've got rip, you know, all these different ammos do different things. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what am I trying to do? So a very meta thing in Tarkov right now is either going for leg meta or you go for the chest and or head, right? And that is going to indicate based off of the ammo that you're using, right? So if I'm using 8.5mm buckshot, this on the right says bullet effectiveness against armor class, right? So 8.5mm buckshot is a 3 across the board. So I'm hardly even penetrating any armor. But if I aim at their legs, which is unarmored, I'm going to do more damage, right? And what all these numbers on the right mean, based off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you look at every single armor in the game, the armor is going to be associated with a number, and that tells you how good it is at blocking certain ammo, right? So armor that's level 1 is super weak. It's hardly going to block much damage at all. If you're looking at level 6 armor, that's something that is super beefy. It's going to block almost all types of bullets. So like, let's say if we're looking at like a rip round here, right? This rip says that it's almost immune, you know, like it doesn't do any damage to the body if they shoot the armor class. But the trade-off is though, is look how much damage it does. It does 265 damage if I shoot them in a spot that they're not covered in armor. So if I shoot him in the legs, right, with that rip, it's gonna do insane amount of damage. So you're probably struggling to kill people late in the game when people are using such crazy armor. Well, that's just because you need to just reroute your aim. I know in every single game they teach you to aim at the head, but if a guy is coming in with a super beefed up helmet, you're not penning through that. So you need to always go, you know, think about the ammo that you're using. If you want to go for leg meta, right, that's what they call it, you're going to use super cheap ammo. You're going to use high flesh, stuff that really doesn't penetrate a lot. You're going to be aiming for the legs. If you're using ammo that penetrates armor super well and does a lot of damage, like let's say the Flechette, let's look at Flechette here. Flechette is saying that it pens through the first 3 armor classes level 6, but it only does, you know, 25 damage a bullet versus the 265 damage, you know, per the legs. So I can aim at somebody's chest, but I'm probably not doing as much damage as what I am to the rip ammo if I aim for the legs. So you really have to concentrate on, like, okay, if I'm using really cheap ammo, I'm probably aiming for the legs. I don't want to get into a fight with somebody that's super beefy when I don't have great ammo. And I know that's a lot of information, it's a lot to cover, but hopefully I can kind of compile it down to help anybody else that's new to this game, anybody that just picked it up on a sale or they're getting ready for the new wipe. Hopefully you guys kick ass in this next upcoming wipe, and you know, hopefully I helped you guys out a little bit. So if you have any questions about the game, or if you have any questions about, you know, any part of this video, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to try to answer it as best as I can. So other than that, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day, and, you know, keep slaying out there. So yeah, take it easy, everybody.